What's up, Trojans? Who else is still excited that the Giants were able to beat the Green Bay Packers in London? I'm still excited about it. It's been over a day. It's still an amazing win. I'm still kind of shocked by it. Honestly, it's so wild. Only praise for that game. I mean, halftime adjustments, absolutely insane. Probably didn't even do a lot. I don't think they revamped the entire playbook at halftime. But whatever they did, like little changes, man, they make a big difference in this league. Absolutely insane win. Really excited about it. I want to get into some of the details. I mean, I waited a day to, listen to all the press conferences and stuff. And honestly, most of the press conferences I didn't see much. But one sort of underlying thread that got mentioned a couple times is just the difference in coaching between the last regime and this regime. And I sort of said it in my last video, but I feel like Brian Daboll and Joe Judge, they haven't said anything too different. Just one guy's actually been able to back everything up, and one guy has not. Brian Daboll actually has some wins on the board early in the season. Joe Judge was never able to accomplish that. And another difference is I feel like Brian Daboll's a bit more hands-off with the players. I forget. Maybe it was Dexter Lawrence's press conference where this was sort of hinted at. But he seems a little bit more like a player's coach, where Joe Judge was definitely a lot more of a disciplinarian, obviously, with the running laps. And it just shows how much easier it is to be a player's coach, just sort of be nice to the players and they'll be nice back and they'll put the work in. It's a lot easier to pull off than being a disciplinarian, where it's like, you didn't look 100% right on that play. Run some laps. And it's so evident on the field with DJ cutting his hand and just coming back in being like, yeah, whatever, leading a drive without Saquon, throwing a practice squad wide receivers, somehow getting Darius Slayton involved, which Darius Slayton had a decent game today. And Daniel Jones was able to make a lot of plays with his legs when you think he would be dealing with the bum ankle. No, forget about the bum ankle. He's got to run for some first downs. And Saquon, obviously Saquon's still Saquon. Saquon's a beast. And Daniel Jones really impressed me in this game. Just the way he was able to manage the offense and make key plays on third down. Like, that's what you need from a Giants quarterback. And the toughness he showed all game, just, running it. He still could do a better job sliding and stuff. I mean, there's definitely a couple of those hits he took he did not need to take. I feel like instead of sliding, his favorite thing to do is run out of bounds, but sometimes you got to run through the middle, as he did a couple times in the game against the Packers. And he just, instead of sliding, he goes for the extra yard, which is great. It gets us the extra yard or two. But it's just one of these times, and I don't know. I just get worried about that. It definitely shows his toughness. That's for sure. And then on the defense, we had Adoree Jackson go down. And that's one of those injuries that you're like, oh, well, great. Green Bay Packers have already put up 20 points, and now they're going to put up 40 points. Great. They're just going to target whoever we sub in, and that's going to be the end of it. Yeah, the Packers, you might not say they have a number one wide receiver, but Randall Cobb was pretty good for them. And, Cobb I think all of our DBs can definitely beat them, but, everyone stepped up for the injured guys. It didn't ever feel like we had that glaring hole. Like I noticed this season with the Dallas game, when Leonard Williams was out, the defensive line, it was like, wow, they are just able to punish us. We can't get pressure. We can't do anything. But the last 2 weeks, I've really noticed Dexter Lawrence has stepped up. That's an easy one to point out. And also, I don't know what it is, but I feel like Wink Martindale might have schemed a few things differently to sort of account for the loss of Leonard Williams. And Wink Martindale with the schemes has definitely improved this defense. And I think it's allowed sort of anyone to, not literally anybody, but it's allowed these other guys that are familiar with the system and are competing in practice and stuff to be able to step in for star guys, and there not be as drastic of a drop-off in performance as one might expect. And it all goes back to coaching. What Brian Dable, Mike Kafka, and Mike Martindale are able to do in all the roles, that they assist in and do, it's been amazing. It's been incredible to see Mike Kafka's play calling, some risky plays like the sort of reverse with Daniel Bellinger for the first touchdown. Risky play call, but when these things work out, they work out really well. Wildcat with Saquon getting the touchdown. These are things that Jason Garrett might call. He might call them, but he would do it like the worst time. It'd be like a 2nd and 1, 2 yards from the goal, and it's like, all right, I'm going to do an end around with, some guy that doesn't have the speed to get around the edge, and yeah, we're going to do an end around with him, and oh, that's crazy, we lost 10 yards. Oh, who would have seen that one coming? It's like Mike Kafka's calling these plays a bit smarter. He got a little too cute, I feel like, earlier in the season, but I feel like he's sort of learning, because Mike Kafka's not used to being a play caller. I feel like he's definitely getting that on-the-job training with this, and it's paying dividends for the Giants. And another group of guys that are sort of getting on-the-job training and improving rapidly is that offensive line. The offensive line was pretty good against the Packers. Maybe it was just DJ having a little bit more pocket awareness. That always helps out an offensive line. But the offensive line looked great. Evan Neal is looking better every week, especially since the Dallas game. He's just looking better and better. That's what you like to see. And then, Graham Gano is Graham Gano. I would talk about special teams, but yeah, the defense is really good, and I can't wait for the week. I hope it's next week. I can't wait for the week where Laron Williams, Dexter Lawrence, Azeez Ojulari, and Kayvon Thibodeaux are lining up as the front four. I want to see an offensive line attempt to block all of them for an extended amount of time for a deep ball to be possible. Because you saw that a lot against the Packers, right? Aaron Rodgers wanted the deep ball again and again and again. But a guy like Dexter Lawrence is able to get pressure up the middle. Got a huge sack on a 3rd down. That was a huge play there by Dexter Lawrence. That was a drive killer. And, points, when a game comes as close as that Packers game, points were definitely, those points not going on the board on that drive definitely helped out a lot. And Kayvon Thibodeaux is another guy that had a lot of pressures against the Packers. Aaron Rodgers just very aware of guys coming off the edge especially. So he was able to evade Kayvon Thibodeaux for the most part. There was one in particular. It might have been this huge Dexter Lawrence sack I'm thinking about, but Kayvon Thibodeaux had a great rush on the left tackle and was extending his arm and sort of grabbing at Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers was able to just step forward on it. I forget if that was the Dexter Lawrence sack or if it just, the pressure caused him to throw a bad ball and it was incomplete, because that happened a lot too. Just Aaron Rodgers not throwing a perfect pass due to pressure. And that's really what you want to see out of the defensive line. And then the offensive line not allowing that to happen too much to Daniel Jones. And this is a team effort. This is a shocking win, in my opinion. And this is one of those wins I feel like you look back on in a season, assuming this team is successful and at least gets to the playoffs, right? This team should, at this point, at least get to the playoffs. It's weird, I go into a season thinking everyone's going to have a meh performance. I'll probably need another year to evaluate it. We'll just kind of, hopefully everyone's able to do good enough to you just barely get re-signed. And then we can really evaluate everybody next year as we get a couple more pieces in the draft and stuff. Well, screw all that. This team can go to the playoffs this season. This team at this point, 4-1 after beating the Packers, should go to the playoffs this season. And then we can still re-sign everybody. Because honestly, everyone that played in London, re-sign them. If we're able to beat teams like the Packers, I want all these guys back. I want them all back. This is one of those wins that you look back on, after the Giants make the playoffs and have a successful season, and then maybe even have some successful seasons down the road, hopefully. We're definitely on that trajectory with wins like this. It's one of those wins that you look back on and you're like, man, this really set the tone. This turned the tide for the season. Now, the Giants were 3-1 going into this. A loss would not have been the end of the world. Heck, I think a lot of people were predicting a loss and still thinking the Giants could do okay later down the stretch, winning some of the games that look easier on our schedule. No, screw that. Get the win this week. Get the win next week. Beat the Ravens. Go 5-1. Why can't we? This win and the Titans win. The Packers win, the Titans win. Two huge wins that are really setting this team up for success this season and down the road. It's to me it's comparable to the Ravens win the 2016 season. Now sure, that season ended up being sort of the one-time thing, the outlier, right? That's what that season sort of turned into the outlier, not a real trend-setting season. But the Giants were 2-3, played the Ravens, and Odell Beckham Jr. took 2 slants to the house, won us that game, and that turned the entire season around. Now, sure, the Giants had started 2-0 that season, but then they lost 3 straight. And from 2-3, they turned things around, ended the season 11-5, walked into the playoffs, and lost unceremoniously to Aaron Rodgers. Well, got a little bit of revenge here, so got to take some time for the Giants to get good, but I'm really excited that this team is good. And the other crazy thing is, I feel like no one has done anything too out of the ordinary, right? It's not like DJ's throwing for 500 yards passing, and it's like, whoa, where'd this guy come from, right? DJ just kind of looks better at a lot of the things that he's need to improve on. Like, DJ's actually showing progression now instead of, being stale the last 2 years. It felt like the last 2 years with DJ, I wasn't seeing a ton of progression. There were games where it's like, oh, he's clearly learning. But then the very next week, or maybe not even the very next week, but then 2 weeks later, it's like, okay, he forgot all of it. This season, I'm seeing him really have a better pocket awareness, really be able to make those key plays, much better decision making. The first week, right, he made a very indecisive throw, obviously, on the interception, the Titans game. But there were a couple other times, especially the Dallas game too, where he looked very indecisive, and then he would, I feel like in that Dallas game, he took a couple sacks he shouldn't have, and a lot of people in that game said, yeah, he looked good, it's just he was getting pressured a lot, right? But you gotta make those decisions quicker. And in this game, I feel like he was making a lot of those decisions. Last week, too, I saw this. This is why I say this is real progression, because he's done it. He's gotten better at this 2 weeks in a row, just really being a good, decisive quarterback. And that's what every Giants fan has wanted to see, if they didn't already see it. There's a lot of fans that, day one saw Daniel Jones. Well, I think a lot of Giants fans are sold on him day one because of that huge win against the Bucs. But through thick and thin, there's been a lot of Giants fans that's like, yeah, I've seen this the whole time. But it's been the last 2 weeks especially is where I've seen that, where I haven't seen that consistently in the past. Daniel Jones is definitely taking command of this offense. And that's another big thing. I haven't seen a lot of the checks. You see a lot of quarterbacks, they get up to the line, they're like, I don't like the play call, I'm not liking these looks, let's check into this, check into that. I saw it a little bit last season. I've been seeing that a lot the last 2 weeks. Loving to see this from Daniel Jones. All this progression, keep it up. This is what coaching has done, all right? It's all these same guys. Saquon Barkley's Saquon Barkley. But last season to this season, all right? Last season, last season was kind of on Saquon. He's sort of said this himself. He wasn't trusting the ankle. But this season, compared to 2018, he's hitting holes and then running through them. That's what Saquon Barkley's doing. Saquon Barkley is reading everything so much better. This Saquon Barkley is 2018 Saquon Barkley. Everyone wants to talk about vintage Saquon Barkley. No. This is new Saquon Barkley. This is the best Saquon Barkley the world has ever seen. This Saquon Barkley is able to hit holes when they're there, just is almost always guaranteed getting yards on plays. Right, 2018 Saquon, you'd see a couple negative plays, and then out of nowhere he'd hit the 50-yard run, which would result in a touchdown. But Saquon Barkley in the past has been part of the reason that drives have died, because he isn't able to get a few yards on first or second down. Whenever we run with Saquon Barkley or first and second down, there's yards. He's getting these yards, these 4, 5, 6 yards. He's getting them. So then you're at a 2nd and 6, a 2nd and 5. Well, you might as well run it again. Oh, a 3rd and 1. Well, that's mighty convenient. I don't know if that exact scenario's panned out every time, but I haven't noticed these plays where Saquon Barkley loses tons and tons and tons of yards. Saquon Barkley's looking much better. The offensive line as a whole is looking much better week to week. That's coaching. And all these guys are able to step in without a huge performance drop. That's coaching. So many of the issues on this team, it feels like it was all coaching. And some of the players have alluded to this in the press conferences. They're like, yeah, the coaching's different. This team's different. Julian Love said that exactly. He said this team is different. This team is different. And this team is so much better than in years past. And honestly, there's not a lot of new guys that are being the factors here. I mean, Kayvon Thibodeau's getting some nice pressures, and that's great and all. But it's not like Kayvon Thibodeau's putting up 3 sacks a game. Kayvon Thibodeau will continue to improve. Not calling him a bust or anything stupid yet. Kayvon Thibodeau's looking good. He's growing. But he's not the deciding factor on this team. Wan'Dale Robinson, another draft pick. He's been out. Hopefully he comes back and becomes a solid option for Jones. I mean, Daniel Bellinger at tight end's looking pretty good, but honestly, Evan Ingram with some good coaching might be able to catch some of those passes too. So it really feels like the issue with this team's been coaching, because it's all of the same guys making plays they didn't make last year. What can you attribute that to? They just all of a sudden got good? Yeah, they just magically decided to make these plays. No, they're motivated to. They're put in the correct positions by these coaches. That's what's impressed me the most about this Giants team. And even going back to predictions, right? I wasn't too high on a lot of these guys. I thought this season wouldn't be that great in terms of our record, but I thought these guys would show enough to get themselves re-signed, and maybe we can hopefully get the wins next season. We're getting the wins this season, and these guys have taken a big leap. And by these guys, I mean pretty much guys like Dexter Lawrence, Daniel Jones, and Saquon Barkley. Guys where you can start talking contracts at the end of the year. Even Andrew Thomas to a degree. We can start talking contracts with Andrew Thomas. All right, all of these guys that we can start talking contracts with, I feel like have been much better. All coaching. And it's been, I don't know, it's just been amazing to see. And, alright, as I was getting to, I thought this would be a mess season. And the difference is these guys making plays when it matters. Alright? I mean, we'd be pretty much at where I would think right now if, let's say, that 2-point conversion against the Titans doesn't happen. Let's say we have Joe Judge as a head coach. He's not making the call to go for that 2-point conversion. We kick the extra point and lose in overtime. Real shame. All right, so that's a loss week 1. Then we go into the Panthers. Joe Judge can probably win us that. Then we go to Dallas. Let's say we still lose that. Then we go to the Bears. Let's say we still win that. But then we're going to go to London against the Packers. And I don't think Joe Judge pulls out this win. I don't think he's able to make any adjustments at the halftime. All right, we've seen that in the past where it's like, all right, clearly some adjustments need to be had. Hopefully we come up with a different game plan. Just make some needed tweaks, and the team looks the exact same. It's the exact same team. And, oh, look at that. We're not putting up 27 points against the Packers under Joe Judge and Jason Garrett. I know that for sure. This team's different. And we would be in about where I thought we would be if we don't make these key plays. The fact that these key plays are being made in key moments, these key guys are stepping up, making the plays when they have to. It's coaching, and it's been the difference from being where a lot of people thought the Giants would be at the beginning of the season, and to now, I get to talk about playoffs. It's not playoffs, we're just trying to improve this team, right? Other teams, in the Giants' past, it's been playoffs, we're just trying to win a game, right? It's been that in the past for the Giants. I remember, honestly, all of the last seasons, we've had large losing records, and, the reporters are like, aren't you worried that you're about to lose the playoffs spot? Like, you'll be eliminated from the playoffs. It's like, oh, yeah, because we so thought we were going to get there at 3-10. Oh, real shocker there that we're one loss of being away from eliminated from the playoffs. All right, well, screw talking about that. Let's talk about what seed we're going to get, right? Are the Giants going to win the division? I don't know. I feel like we can beat the Eagles. I feel like we can beat Dallas again. I feel like we can beat the Commanders. I feel like we can beat pretty much all the teams in the NFL, or at least be competitive. Every single game on the schedule all of a sudden seems really winnable, and with that mindset, it really is just, hey, what seed are we gonna get? We can slide into a 7th seed, no problem. But let's talk about up in that. A 6th seed should be easy. A 5th seed, it's pretty much the same thing. Who's going to beat us in the division, though? I feel like the Giants can win this division. All right, that gives us at least the 4th seed. Now what? Let's say 12 wins. I'll throw 12 wins out there. If this team keeps improving and some guys get healthy and the team somehow looks even better, let's say we get up to 12 wins. Not an official prediction, but let's say we get up there. I definitely think we're doing better than I thought at the beginning of the season. I think 9-10 wins is easy on the table now. Honestly, 9 wins is where we'd be at, just going by my last freaking prediction, because we've won 2 games I didn't think we'd win. So 9 wins is the floor now, in my opinion. And so let's say we get up to 12 wins. Someone else can win their division with only 11 probably. All right, that gives us the 3rd seed. The 1st seed's a bit of a tall order. That requires some major upsets. I don't want to completely rule that out, though, because we're 4-1. At this track of 4-1, we'll have a great record. We'll have a record where it's in the conversation for 1st seed. Don't want to throw it out the window, but I don't think we're going to be the 1st seed. It would be amazing, though. I can't wait to see a Giants playoff game, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Even as fans, let's do what the team says they want to do every week. Just focus on the next week. So I want to keep doing that. Focus on the next week. Focus on the Ravens. Ravens are a pretty good team. Very interested to see the game plan that Wink Martindale has. He's very familiar with that Ravens offense. He was the Ravens defensive coordinator before he was our defensive coordinator. So, it'll be very interesting to see sort of the chess match that goes on there. And I was listening to I was watching the game last night, Sunday Night Football, Ravens-Bengals, and the announcers could not stop talking about how it's weird seeing the Ravens defense play this much zone. It's like Patrick Graham was coaching the Ravens Sunday Night Football with how much zone they were playing. Wink Martindale doesn't play like that. So, the Ravens offense, they have to know that Wink Martindale's coming at them. Maybe Lamar Jackson knows that. Maybe, Lamar Jackson's like, all right, fine, I got 5 guys coming at me. I'll juke 2 of them in the backfield, run for 50 yards. Maybe that's what he's thinking. Maybe Wink Martindale will get a little bit more exotic with his blitzes, come from different angles. I'm not going to rule out, I'm not going to say that he should stop doing the blitzes, It's what he does. So he should just, switch them up. Instead of sending 5 guys straight up, maybe he's been doing this a lot, honestly. His blitzes aren't just like, all right, 5 linebackers are in, 5 linebackers are coming at you. That's the blitz. No, it's like, oh, I'm only sending 4. Psych, Darnay Holmes is coming off the edge. Psych, Xavier McKinney's there. All right, what? Kayvon Thibodeau, okay, we got 4 guys up front. This is easily what's coming in. Psych, Kayvon Thibodeau drops back in coverage. Only 3 guys are rushing. You're like, what? Who is this guy, Wink Martindale? And then it's like, all right, looks normal. Everything looks normal. 5 guys lined up. They're all coming at me. Oh, the guy in the middle drops back and 2 corners come in. Who is ready for that? These are the type of blitzes that Wink Martindale can draw up. These are the sort of blitzes I've been seeing the past few weeks. Wink Martindale's a great defensive coordinator, in my opinion. He's really drawing up these plays well. These are some spectacular play calls by Wink Martindale. I mean, the only bad one was the 3rd and 20 all-out blitz. You win some, you lose some. That was against the Bears. You win some, you lose some in that department. I'm loving the trajectory of this Giants team. The entire team. Everyone on this team could go down in New York sports history if they keep this performance up. Daniel Jones could go from 0 to hero. All right, you talk about a guy getting booed on draft night. So many people, the Giants fans were not happy about that draft pick. They go from all of that to being a hero like Eli Manning ended up being. A similar story with Eli Manning. You know, a lot of people were calling Eli Manning a bust. Then he turned it around with the Super Bowl. Not saying Daniel Jones is going to turn around with the Super Bowl. Not comparing him 1-to-1 with Eli Manning. He's not Eli Manning. He's Daniel Jones. Joe Shane, Brian Dable. Comparisons might exist there as well. But these guys could be heroes coming in, turning around a 4-12 Giants team. Or 4-13 with the loss. The last loss? I guess it was 4-13, huh? I guess I forgot about that. Oh, okay. A team that could only get 4 wins last year, turning that into a team going to the playoffs. At least now. I think that's impressive in itself. What if the Giants win a Super Bowl next year or in 2 years? You want to talk about heroes? 2 guys coming in, turning around a team that was 13. I keep forgetting about that 17th game. Turning around a team that was 4-13 in a Super Bowl in a short time after. That would be impressive. That's how you go down in sports history. That's honestly where I'm at with this Giants team. This Giants team continues to surprise me every step of the way. So now I'm at the point where it's no longer going to be surprising. I'm not going to expect it. I'm still going to be shocked. These are all good teams that we're going up against in the NFL. I'm still just really excited to see what this Giants team has to offer. And that's the big thing. It just has to draw excitement from Giants fans. How can you not be excited to turn on the TV, or heck, go to the game? How is this not an advertisement to go to a Giants game? Get to see these amazing performances yourselves. This has to, I'm a few states away. That'd be a real trip for me. But it certainly makes me want to go to a Giants game, given the opportunity. Maybe somewhere down the road, if this team keeps it up, I mean, definitely going to turn on the TV every week to watch the Giants at least compete and likely get wins. And that's how it's been like the past month or so. Excited to see this season play out. Giants could be a threat come playoff time. I'll leave you with that note. See you in the next one.